This is the Insta360 Flow 2 Pro, and this is the Flow 2. At first glance, these two gimbals look identical, but there are a few relevant differences. The biggest difference is the price. At $160, the Flow 2 Pro costs almost 50% more than the Flow 2, which is available for $110. So what are the differences that justify this price difference? Today we'll take a look at these differences, and at the end of the video I'll tell you which of the two gimbals I would recommend. Both gimbals were provided to me by Insta360 for testing purposes, but this video does not contain any additional paid sponsorship. Both are excellent gimbals, and there are significantly more similarities than differences. They have the same stabilization modes, the same stabilization performance, both have an integrated tripod, and importantly, both also have an integrated extension rod. Insta360 has therefore not skimped on the integrated selfie stick. Both have exactly the same tracking features within the Insta360 app, so Tracking Plus, the Pro Framing Grid, Active Zoom Tracking, and Group Tracking. And that's very important, because with the help of these features, even the cheaper Flow 2 is able to track a subject extremely reliably. But that's not all. The Flow 2 also supports all the special features of the app, including the integrated teleprompter, recording in ProRes and log, and the use of a second smartphone as a remote. By the way, if you want to know more about all these features, check out my detailed tutorial on the Flow 2 Pro. Same stabilization performance, same features in the app, they have the same battery life. So why spend more money on the Flow 2 Pro? The Flow 2 is missing exactly 7 features, which I'll show you now. To give you a feel for the importance of each feature, I will rate each feature on a scale of 1 to 5 based on my experience with the Flow 2 Pro so far, with 1 being unimportant and 5 being a must-have feature. Let's start with the external differences. The gimbal arm of the Flow 2 Pro has a transparent back. This looks cool and stylish. A LED light is integrated into this transparent back, which also enhances the appearance of the Flow 2 Pro. In direct comparison, the back of the Flow 2 looks rather boring. But it's not just about the look. When you're recording within the Insta360 app, you can tell that recording is in progress by the flashing LED light on the back of the gimbal. This can be useful when filming yourself with the rear camera. It allows you to assess from a distance whether recording has actually started and has not been interrupted unknowingly. Since I often forget to press record, I give this feature a rating of 3. Do you see this green ring light at the top of the Flow 2 Pro handle? When it flashes, it means that the subject is currently being actively tracked. Why should this be important? The reason is the same as before. You are filming yourself with the rear camera, which is a significantly better camera on most smartphones. With the help of the green ring light, you can immediately see from a distance whether the gimbal is tracking you at all. Similar to the LED on the back of the gimbal arm, this feature is mainly important for solo creators, which definitely applies to me. If you want to film other people with the gimbal, neither feature is relevant. I give the ring light a rating of 2. There is another minor aesthetic difference. The LEDs on the inside of the control wheel are only small dots on the Flow 2, while they are significantly larger on the Flow 2 Pro. However, this is completely irrelevant. By the way, I have the grey version of both gimbals. The color is absolutely identical. The next missing feature is also mainly relevant for solo creators. Do you see that the Flow 2 Pro has a small mirror on the back of the gimbal head? This is not just an aesthetic gimmick. When you film yourself with the rear camera, you're unable to check the framing. You cannot see whether your head is cut off. This small mirror shows you the approximate framing of the iPhone's main camera. This allows you to see surprisingly well whether you are in the frame at all. As a solo creator who constantly films myself with the rear camera, I use the small mirror all the time. That's why this is a 3 for me. Apart from that, there are no more external differences. So let's move on to the internal features that the Flow 2 lacks. And perhaps the most important one is Apple Dock Kit. Both gimbals connect to your smartphone via NFC, which enables an extremely fast connection. But only the Flow 2 Pro also supports Apple Dock Kit via NFC. But what is that anyway? Dock Kit is Apple's integrated tracking technology. With the help of Dock Kit, the Flow 2 Pro can track a subject even outside the Insta360 app. Tracking therefore also works in the native camera app, in a video conferencing app, or in the most important social media apps such as Instagram or TikTok. And it's pretty cool that you can track yourself during a video conference. That can also be very useful. However, there are a few things to note. The feature is of course only available for iPhones. Then, tracking with Dock Kit is not as responsive and efficient as tracking in the Insta360 app. And, as you may know, there is this small hardware tracker that can also be attached to the Flow 2 up here on the gimbal head, and that enables tracking outside the Insta360 app. And it's also faster and more responsive than DocKit. But the AI tracker must be purchased separately as an accessory and also consumes a lot of energy. As an iPhone user, I give DocKit a rating of 3. You don't have to think about any additional trackers, and the function is already integrated into the gimbal. That's always an advantage. Imagine you mount the gimbal on a tripod and want to be tracked completely in a room, no matter which direction you move in. Then it's important that the gimbal has unlimited range of movement. That means that it can rotate sideways without restriction. But as you can see here, the lateral range of motion of the Flow 2 is limited. Especially when turning to the right, it quickly reaches its limit, while the Flow 2 Pro can be rotated without limits in both directions. And yes, that provides confidence, because you don't have to worry about whether the gimbal might have reached its movement limit when filming yourself. Even when turning sideways in FPV mode, the Flow 2 Pro has a significantly greater range of movement. But that's not so important to me personally. I have always appreciated the extreme range of movement of the Flow 2 Pro. That's why I give this feature a rating of 3. By the way, despite its limited range of movement, the Flow 2 is also capable of taking 360 pano photos. However, the Flow 2 Pro enables automated 360 pano shots, where the gimbal rotates completely around its own axis while filming. Of course, this is not possible with the Flow 2. As you can see here, both gimbals are equally limited in the tilt axis. Upward and downward movements are only possible to a limited extent, and that can be a problem for certain shots. For example, if you want to take a straight crane shot from bottom to top, this is hardly possible because the gimbal reaches its limit and the camera rotates forward and backward with the movement. To prevent this, the Flow 2 Pro has a so-called free tilt mode. You pull out the selfie stick and can then rotate it 90 degrees to the side. Now the camera can also be rotated completely around its own axis in the tilt axis. Shots that were previously impossible are now finally feasible. This is a very special feature that advanced filmmakers in particular will appreciate. I myself use it rather rarely. That's why I give it a rating of 2. The last difference has to do with the controls. All functions of the Flow 2 and the Flow 2 Pro can be operated using these buttons here, the trigger button and the zoom wheel. This is an excellent solution. The operation of both gimbals is very well designed, but even if it's not visible from the outside, the surface of this external smart wheel has touch functionality on the Flow 2 Pro. For example, you can use it to change the recording mode in the Insta360 app by swiping clockwise or counterclockwise. This is not the case with the Flow 2. To change the recording mode, you have to operate the app directly on your smartphone. To be honest, I never used the touch function and find it rather fiddly. That's why I give this feature a rating of 1. As mentioned at the beginning, the Flow 2 costs $110, which is $50 less than the Flow 2 Pro. It's also available for $130 in a bundle with the AI tracker. Links to both gimbals can be found in the video description. If you use one of these links, you will also receive an extremely useful magnetic phone mount worth $20 as a free gift. In summary, there are 2 really important differences between the 2 gimbals. The Flow 2 lacks Apple DocKit and its range of movement is significantly more limited. Especially in the pan axis, this can be relevant. Both are features that are more important for solo creators. This also applies to the ring light and the LED light on the back of the gimbal arm. Therefore, I would recommend the following. If you are a solo creator who wants to film yourself frequently with the gimbal, the $50 extra cost is definitely worth it. But if you are mainly behind the camera and need a gimbal to film friends and family, the Flow 2 is also a great choice. By the way, I dare say that the Flow 2 is also significantly more capable than the also affordable DJI OM7. You can see why this is the case in my comparison between the Flow 2 and the OM7P. Watch that video if you're interested, and give me a like as feedback if you found this video interesting. There will be more videos on the Flow 2 and the Flow 2 Pro. So stay tuned and see you next time.